The first thing I noticed was the camera lens. Guy wasn't even trying to hide it. Just sitting in a gray Honda Civic across from Lily's elementary school, telephoto pointed right at the pickup lane. Same spot I parked every Tuesday and Thursday at 3:15 p.m. to get my 6-year-old granddaughter. I'd been fired 8 days ago. Exactly 4 days before my $2.8 million pension would have vested after 32 years with Apex Defense Solutions here in Houston. And now Claire Ashford was having me followed, having my granddaughter photographed. That's when I knew she was scared. I'm Reed Holloway, 58 years old, and I need to back up to explain how we got here. 10 days earlier, I was sitting in Claire's office on a Friday afternoon. She leaned back in her leather chair like we were discussing the weather. "How long you been with us, Reed?" 32 years and 361 days. Not that I was counting. Okay, I was definitely counting. My pension locked in Monday morning. 4 days away from everything I'd earned. 32 years, I said. She slid a manila folder across her desk. "Budget cuts. You're out. Effective immediately." Budget cuts. We'd just announced record profits. Stock up 34% last quarter. This wasn't about money. Sign by 5 p.m. tomorrow, or you get nothing. HR will escort you out. I picked up the folder without opening it. She looked surprised. Maybe expected me to beg. Maybe cry. But I'd spent 32 years reading corporate bullshit, and this wasn't budget cuts. This was her cleaning house before my pension vested. "Appreciate the opportunity," I said. Laura from HR hovered by my office while I packed. Security guard waited at the door. I didn't take much. Photo of Rachel, my wife who died 8 years back. The Marine Corps flag my son Owen sent from Iraq. A plaque for 25 years nobody gave a damn about anymore. "This isn't right, Reed," Laura whispered. "No, it's not." See, for the past 6 years, I'd been documenting something. Financial irregularities at Apex. Reports that didn't match actual shipments. Quality control certificates backdated after products already went to military bases overseas. The kind of fraud that gets soldiers killed when their equipment fails in combat. I'd reported it. 67 emails directly to Claire's office alone. Every single one disappeared. When I refused to sign off on her latest cost-cutting scheme that violated DoD regulations, she decided I had to go. Owen called before I even reached my truck. "Dad, Laura just texted me. Said she's sorry. What the hell happened?" "I'll tell you at dinner. Bring Lily." "Dad, dinner. 6 p.m. Your place." I drove home through Houston traffic, past the VA hospital where Owen got his PTSD treatment after Iraq, past Lily's school, to the house Rachel and I bought 28 years ago. House I've kept up alone since she passed. At home, I opened the severance package. 3 months' salary for signing away all rights to future claims. No pension, no health care, just a check and legal paperwork designed to shut me up. They wanted my signature by 5 p.m. Saturday, counting on me being desperate enough to sign without reading. I walked to my home office and opened the fireproof lockbox behind the photo albums, my insurance policy. For 6 years, I'd been bringing copies home. Financial documents showing systematic fraud, loan applications with fake numbers, quarterly reports manipulated to look good, emails from Claire herself telling staff to backdate safety certifications, over 1,800 pages proving Apex had been lying to the Department of Defense, selling substandard equipment to soldiers. I'd reported everything through proper channels, got buried every time. I scrolled through my phone contacts to a name I hadn't called in years, Neil Patterson. We served together in the Marines back in the 90s. Now he's FBI Special Agent Patterson working white-collar crime in Houston. Once I made this call, everything changed. Federal investigation, people losing jobs, stock tanking. Claire would know exactly who turned on her. But she fired me 4 days before my pension vested. She buried evidence that endangered American soldiers. She made this personal. I hit dial. "Neil, Reed Holloway, we need to talk." Tonight. He showed up at my house within an hour. Still had that Marine walk, that look that says he's seen things. More gray in his hair now, but sharp as ever. We sat at my kitchen table while I walked him through everything. The fraud patterns, the emails, the 2,800 pages of documentation I'd secured. "This isn't just wrongful termination," Neil said when I finished. "Based on what you're showing me, Apex could be facing serious federal charges. Defense contractor fraud, securities fraud, And the timing with your pension makes it obvious retaliation. He explained whistleblower protections through the FBI. What happens once I file formally? Don't sign anything, he warned, and we need these documents somewhere secure. My phone started ringing that weekend. Laura from HR, Claire, even Charles Bennington, the board chairman who'd never spoken to me directly in 10 years. I let every call go to voicemail. Reed, we need that paperwork signed today. Claire's voice sounded tight. I can come pick it up if that helps. Charles was more direct. Mr. Holloway, failure to comply could jeopardize your severance entirely. Their desperation told me everything. They knew they were exposed. Sunday afternoon, Owen came over with Lily. After I sent my granddaughter to play in the backyard, I told him what happened. They can't just fire you 4 days before your pension vests, Owen said. That's illegal. Yeah, and I'm doing something about it. What? Reported it to the FBI? Neil Patterson. You remember him? Owen went quiet. He knew what that meant. Dad, these people have lawyers, money. They'll come after you. Let them. What about your pension, your health care? What about the soldiers getting equipment that fails because Apex cuts corners to boost profits? What about you getting your PTSD treatment denied 2 years ago because their insurance fraud saved them? Money? That stopped him. Owen's healthcare claims had been denied repeatedly, his treatment delayed for months. We'd thought it was bureaucracy. Turns out it was systematic fraud. You knew about that? He asked. I documented it, along with everything else. Monday morning, I dressed carefully and drove downtown to the FBI field office. Neil met me in the lobby with 2 other agents. For 3 hours, I walked them through my documentation, the irregular financial reporting from 6 years back, quality control certificates backdated after products shipped overseas, revenue manipulation that got worse after Claire arrived 6 months ago. One agent examined the financials with growing concern. The company's been overstating revenues by at least 23% for the past 2 years. That's securities fraud. You reported these issues internally? The other asked. 67 emails to Claire's office alone. Everyone disappeared, and you believe your termination was direct retaliation. The timing makes it obvious. They outlined next steps. Formal investigation. Stays confidential until they determine enforcement action. How long? I asked. Given your documentation, we may move quickly, but federal cases take time. Expect 12 to 18 months minimum. I nodded. This was a marathon, not a sprint. By the time I got home, the 5 p.m. Saturday deadline had passed. No one called about the unsigned severance. Wednesday morning, my phone rang. Laura, her voice shaking. Reed, something's happening. Emergency board meeting. Claire's locked in her office. There are rumors about FBI investigators contacting our legal team. Word leaked fast. Someone on the board, maybe one who knew they were exposed, must have tipped the press. I'm not surprised, I said. Reed, did you report something? I did what I should have done 6 years ago. An hour later, Charles Bennington called. Mr. Holloway, we have a situation. Would you be willing to meet tomorrow to discuss? Any discussions include my attorney and FBI representatives. Long silence. I see. We'll arrange something formal. That's when Claire made her move. That afternoon, business journals ran headlines about an FBI investigation into Apex Defense Solutions. Stock dropped 22% in 1 day. Analysts who'd praised Claire's efficiency 2 weeks ago now questioned the company's entire financial reporting. Then Claire gave an interview to Houston Business Weekly, called me a disgruntled employee with performance issues who was bitter about being passed over for promotion, trying to paint me as some old guy with an axe to grind. My attorney Diane Caldwell called immediately. Don't respond. The FBI will issue a statement clarifying your whistleblower status. But Claire wasn't done. Thursday evening, Owen called. Angry. Dad, someone's been asking questions about me around the neighborhood, about my arrest. What arrest? 10 years ago, right after I got back from Iraq. Bar fight. I had a bad night. Charges got dropped, but it's still on record. Private investigator. Had to be. Claire was digging into my family, trying to find anything to discredit me. Don't worry about it, I said. Let them dig. There's nothing there. But I was worried, not about what they'd find, about how far Claire would go. Friday afternoon, I was in my garage working on Rachel's old Mustang, the one she drove in high school that I'd been restoring for Lily when she turned 16. Therapy, my way. Hands busy, mind clear. I heard footsteps. 2 guys. Security contractor types, not cops. One carried a camera. "Mr. Holloway, we need to talk about your cooperation." I didn't look up from the engine. Just kept my hand near the toolbox where I kept my Sig Sauer. Legal carry, and I'd been doing it since Rachel passed. "You're on private property. Leave. Ms. Ashford wants to resolve this quietly. She's prepared to offer—" "Tell Ms. Ashford I'm a Marine. We don't do quiet when someone's lying to the Department of Defense." The one with the camera stepped closer. Big guy, maybe 6 feet, thought his size mattered. I stood up slow. "I'm 6'2", still do veteran group workouts every Saturday morning at the VFW. Still run 3 miles 4 times a week." He stopped. "This is your last warning," I said. "Not loud. Marines don't need loud. You're trespassing. I've got cameras running, and Texas is a stand-your-ground state. Leave." They looked at each other. Left. I called Neil immediately. "Claire just sent 2 guys to my house. Threatened me." "You get it on camera?" "Every second. Send me the footage. That's witness intimidation. We can add it to the file." That night, I couldn't sleep. Not from fear. From anger. This woman had been with Apex 6 months. 6 months. And she thought she could erase 32 years of my work, steal my pension, and intimidate me into silence. She picked the wrong veteran. Saturday morning, I opened my lockbox again, pulled out something I'd kept separate from the main documentation. Email exchanges from 3 years ago between Claire's predecessor and 2 board members. Discussions about managing financial appearances during a critical acquisition. Proof the fraud went back further than Claire, that board members knew. I'd kept these separate because they didn't directly tie to current issues. But now, with Claire trying to blame everything on me being a bitter old man, these showed the systematic nature of the problem. I called Neil. "I have something else." Changes the timeline. Shows board members were involved years before Claire arrived. "How soon can you get it to me? I'm 20 minutes from your office." By Monday, the situation exploded. The additional documentation showed fraud going back 5 years, implicating not just Claire, but 3 board members. The FBI moved fast. Subpoenas went out. Neil told me they were building a RICO case. That's when I saw the PI again. Tuesday afternoon, 3:15 p.m. Same gray Civic across from Lily's school. I pulled out my phone, called Neil while walking toward the car. That witness intimidation we discussed, it's happening right now. Guys photographing. My 6-year-old granddaughter. Where? Madison Elementary pickup lane. Stay on the line. Don't approach. But the PI saw me coming. Started his engine. I got his plate number before he pulled away. "Texas license HDR 2847, I told Neil. "Got it. We'll track the registration." That evening, Owen came over after putting Lily to bed. He looked stressed. "Dad, this is getting bad. They're not just investigating you. They're investigating everyone connected to you. That's what they do. Try to find leverage. What if they find something? On you? Owen, you've been straight since you came home. Your record's clean except for one bad night a decade ago. Let them look." He sat quiet for a moment. "The FBI contacted me today. They want me to testify." "About what?" "About Apex's insurance fraud. Remember when I couldn't get my PTSD treatment approved 2 years ago? All those denied claims?" I remembered. Owen had come home from Iraq different. Nightmares, anxiety. Couldn't hold down a job at first. The VA referred him to a therapist covered by my Apex insurance. Claims kept getting denied. Lost paperwork. Missing authorizations. Took 6 months to get him treatment he needed immediately. "What about it?" I asked. Turns out it wasn't bureaucracy. It was systematic fraud. Apex was denying veteran healthcare claims to cut costs. The FBI has documentation showing Claire's office flagged veteran claims as high-cost targets for denial. My hands clenched. They hadn't just stolen my pension. They'd denied treatment to soldiers dealing with combat trauma, to my own son. "You going to testify?" I asked. "If it helps take them down?" "Absolutely. It'll be public. They'll try to discredit you." "Let them try. I'm not the one who committed fraud. Wednesday, week 2. After my termination, the emergency board meeting happened. I wasn't there, but Neil called from outside the conference room. It's chaos. The FBI just presented preliminary findings. 3 board members resigned on the spot. Claire's trying to claim she was following established practices, but the documentation you provided proves she accelerated everything. By noon, Apex issued a press release. 4 board members resigned, including Charles Bennington. Claire was terminated for cause. The stock dropped another 15%, down 37% total from before the scandal broke. My phone rang. Patricia Monroe, the interim CEO, former COO, someone who'd always been straight with me. Reed, can we meet? Tomorrow. Your attorney's office if you prefer. What about? Making this right. Thursday morning, I sat in Diane's office while Patricia laid out a folder. Different from the termination paperwork, but similar size. The irony wasn't lost on me. This officially rescinds your termination, reinstates your employment retroactively from last Friday, confirms your pension vested as scheduled. She paused. It also includes additional compensation recognizing the difficulties you experienced, 8 years' salary, lifetime healthcare coverage, and a formal written apology from the remaining board. I opened it. The numbers were substantial, more than fair. What about Claire, the board members involved? Patricia's expression hardened. Federal prosecutors are preparing criminal charges, securities fraud, defense contractor fraud, witness intimidation. The company won't be defending them. We're cooperating fully with the FBI. And my job? You're technically still employed until your official retirement date, which will backdate to last Monday when your pension vested. Or you can return to work if you want. I thought about that. Walking back into Apex after everything that happened. No, I'm done with Apex, but I'll consult on the remediation process. Make sure the compliance systems get fixed properly. That's more than fair. I signed the paperwork, not because I needed the money, because it was acknowledgement. Recognition that I'd been right all along. Walking out of Diane's office, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not satisfaction exactly, more like resolution, like a mission completed. But the real work was just beginning. Federal prosecutors moved fast once they had the evidence. Within 3 months, grand jury indictments came down. Claire Ashford, 2 former board members, and Apex's former CFO. Charges included securities fraud, defense contractor fraud, conspiracy, and witness intimidation. The witness intimidation charge came from those 2 guys Claire sent to my garage. FBI traced the car registration back to a Houston security firm. Those guys flipped immediately, testified Claire hired them personally to persuade me to sign the severance and stay quiet. The trial was set for 16 months after my termination. Federal cases moved slow, but the prosecutors were building an airtight case. Neil kept me updated throughout. They're going to want you to testify, he said over coffee one morning. You're the key witness. I figured. It'll be public. Media circus. Claire's attorneys will try to make you look like a disgruntled employee. Let them try. What I didn't expect was Owen testifying too. 8 months after my termination, Owen and I met with the federal prosecutors. Assistant U.S. Attorney named Sarah Chen walked us through what to expect. Mr. Holloway, your testimony establishes the fraud pattern and retaliation, she said. But Owen, your testimony puts a human face on it, shows real harm to real people. Owen nodded. He'd been nervous about this for weeks. Public speaking wasn't his thing. Neither was talking about his PTSD with strangers. What do I need to say? He asked. Just tell the truth about your experience with Apex's insurance denials, how it affected your treatment, your recovery. The trial started on a Tuesday morning in downtown Houston. Federal Courthouse, Southern District of Texas. Judge Morrison had a reputation for being tough on white-collar crime. I testified first. 2 days on the stand, walking through the 1,847 pages of documentation. The fraud patterns. The 67 emails I sent Claire that disappeared, the termination 4 days before my pension vested. Claire's attorney tried to rattle me, suggested I was bitter about not being promoted, implied I manipulated documentation. Mr. Holloway, isn't it true you were passed over for director position 3 times? Yes. And isn't it true you held a grudge against Ms. Ashford for that? No. I was never interested in management. I was interested in compliance, in making sure Apex didn't sell faulty equipment to soldiers. But you admit You disagreed with Ms. Ashford's policies? I didn't disagree with policies. I disagreed with fraud. The prosecutor objected. Judge sustained. But the point was made. Owen testified on day 4. I sat in the gallery watching my son walk to the witness stand. He looked nervous, but determined. Marine posture, just like I taught him. Sarah Chen started gentle. Mr. Holloway, can you tell the court about your military service? I served 6 years in the Marine Corps, 2 tours in Iraq, infantry, honorably discharged in 2015. And after your discharge, did you experience any difficulties? Yes. PTSD, nightmares, anxiety, trouble adjusting to civilian life. Did you seek treatment? Yes. The VA referred me to a therapist. Treatment was supposed to be covered by my father's insurance through Apex Defense Solutions. Was it covered? Owen's jaw tightened. No. Every claim got denied. Lost paperwork, missing authorizations, wrong codes. For 6 months, I couldn't get treatment while my claims got bounced around. How did that affect you? I couldn't work. Couldn't sleep. My daughter was 3 years old, and I couldn't be the father she needed because I was dealing with combat trauma and couldn't get help. Did you eventually receive treatment? Yes. After 6 months of fighting with Apex's insurance, they finally approved it. But by then, things had gotten bad. Real bad. Sarah pulled up documents on the screen. Your Honor, I'd like to enter Exhibit 47. Internal Apex emails showing Owen Holloway's claims were flagged as high-cost veteran treatment and routed for denial. Claire's attorney objected. Judge overruled. Sarah continued. Owen, these emails show your claims were specifically targeted for denial as part of a cost-cutting initiative. How does that make you feel? Objection, relevance. Goes to impact, Your Honor. I'll allow it. Owen looked directly at Claire. I served my country, got blown up by an IED, watched friends die, came home different and needed help. And the company my father dedicated 32 years to decided my treatment cost too much. Decided saving money was more important than helping veterans. His voice cracked slightly. I saw Claire look away. They didn't just steal my dad's pension. They denied treatment to soldiers dealing with combat trauma. How do I feel? Angry. Because this isn't just fraud, it's betrayal. The courtroom was silent. Claire's attorney tried to discredit him on cross-examination, brought up the bar fight from 10 years ago, suggested Owen's PTSD made him an unreliable witness. Big mistake. Judge Morrison cut him off. Counselor, this witness served his country honorably. His medical condition is not relevant to whether your client committed fraud. Move on or sit down. The attorney sat down. Over the next 3 weeks, prosecutors laid out the full scope of the fraud. $47 million in falsified revenues, substandard equipment shipped to military bases, systematic insurance fraud targeting veteran claims, the PI intimidation, all of it. Claire's defense was that she was following established practices, that the board approved everything, that she didn't know the extent of the problems. The jury didn't buy it. Neither did I. Those 67 emails I sent her proved she knew exactly what was happening. Deliberations took 2 days, guilty on all counts. Sentencing happened 3 months later. I was there. So was Owen. So were 12 other veterans whose insurance claims had been denied. Judge Morrison didn't pull punches. Ms. Ashford, you held a position of trust and authority. You chose to use that position to defraud investors, endanger soldiers, and deny health care to combat veterans. You targeted a whistleblower for retaliation. You obstructed justice. These crimes strike at the heart of corporate accountability and public trust. He sentenced her to 12 years in federal prison. No parole in the federal system. She'd serve at least 10. The 2 board members got 8 and 10 years respectively. The CFO flipped early, testified against everyone, got 5 years. Walking out of the courthouse that day, Owen put his hand on my shoulder. You did it, Dad. We did it. What now? I'd been thinking about that for months. I got an idea. You interested in starting a business? What kind of business? Compliance consulting. Help other whistleblowers document fraud, navigate the system, protect themselves from retaliation. Owen considered this. Using everything you learned? Everything we learned. You handle the technical side, secure documentation, digital forensics. I handle compliance strategy and legal navigation. Sullivan and Holloway. Compliance? Holloway and Holloway has a better ring, he smiled. First real smile I'd seen from him in months. Yeah, it does. 3 months after Claire's sentencing, We opened our office in a small building near the Galleria. Nothing fancy. 2 desks, file cabinets, secure servers for client documentation. Owen set up encrypted communication systems. I started reaching out to compliance officers I knew from industry conferences. Word spread fast. Turns out lots of people were documenting fraud at their companies. Too scared to report it. Too worried about retaliation, about losing their pensions, their health care, their careers. We gave them a roadmap, showed them how to document properly, how to secure evidence, when to go to the FBI versus SEC versus other agencies, how to protect themselves legally. Our first client was a woman named Patricia Grant, quality control manager at a medical device company in Dallas. She'd been documenting manufacturing defects for 2 years, watching her reports get buried while defective heart valves went to hospitals. "They're going to fire me," she said during our first call. "I can feel it coming." "Have you secured copies of your documentation?" I asked. "Some, but most of it's on company servers." "Wrong approach. You need everything offline, secured independently. Owen will walk you through setting up encrypted backups." We helped her document properly, showed her how to preserve emails without alerting IT, connected her with the FDA and FBI. 6 months later, her company faced criminal charges. She kept her job and got whistleblower protection. Word spread. We took on 8 cases that first year: defense contractors, pharmaceutical companies, medical device manufacturers. Every case the same pattern. Good people documenting bad things, too scared to report because they saw what happened to others who spoke up. We showed them it could be done, that you could win. The FBI whistleblower reward came through 18 months after Claire's conviction. 22% of the penalties assessed against Apex. The government had recovered $19.5 million in fines and restitution. My share was $4.3 million. Combined with my pension and the settlement from Apex, I had more money than I'd ever imagined. More than I needed. I put half into a trust for Lily's college education. Donated $500,000 to the Marine Corps Veteran Assistance Fund. Used the rest to expand Holloway & Holloway, hire 2 more staff, and establish a legal defense fund for whistleblowers who couldn't afford attorneys. Owen used his share to buy a house closer to our office, nice place with a yard where Lily could play. Watching him build that life, stable and secure, that meant more than any dollar amount. 2 years after starting the business, we had 23 active cases and a waiting list. Owen hired a former Army intelligence analyst to handle digital forensics. I brought on a retired SEC investigator to help with securities fraud cases. We weren't getting rich. Most of our clients couldn't pay much up front. We worked on contingency, took a percentage of whistleblower rewards when cases succeeded. But it wasn't about money. It was about making sure people could stand up to corruption without losing everything. One Thursday afternoon, I was reviewing documentation for a new case when my phone rang. Unknown Houston number. "Mr. Holloway? My name is Andrew Walsh. I'm a compliance officer at Meridian Aerospace in Fort Worth. I've been documenting fraud for 3 years. My boss just threatened me with termination. I saw your story in the news. Can you help?" I leaned back in my chair. "Tell me what you've got." "Quality control fraud. We're shipping aircraft components that don't meet FAA specifications. I've documented 2,100 pages of evidence. Test results that were falsified, certifications that were backdated. All of it. You secured copies independently?" "Yes. Everything's on encrypted drives at my house." "Good. When did the termination threat happen?" "Yesterday. My boss called me and said I was being difficult, not a team player. Gave me 2 weeks to improve or I'm out. Classic pattern. I'd seen it dozens of times." "How long until your pension vests?" Silence. Then 6 weeks. There it was. Same playbook Claire used on me. Get rid of the compliance officer before their pension locks in, before they can do more damage. "Andrew, don't sign anything, don't agree to anything. Send me your documentation tonight. We'll review it and set up a call tomorrow morning. Thank you." I didn't know who else to contact. Everyone I've talked to at Meridian just tells me to be a team player. That's what they all say. Send me the files. After we hung up, Owen looked over from his desk. "New case? Aerospace fraud. Fort Worth. Guy's got 2,100 pages documented. They're threatening termination 6 weeks before his pension vests." Owen shook his head. "They never learn." "No, they don't." That evening, I stayed late reviewing Andrew Walsh's documentation. He'd done good work. Methodical, detailed, dated everything properly. Test results showing components failed stress tests, then certifications issued anyway. Emails from management pressuring inspectors to pass marginal parts. Financial projections showing how much money the company saved by skipping proper quality control. It was damning. And familiar. I called Neil. He'd moved up to assistant special agent in charge of the Houston field office, but we still talked regularly. He'd become something like our unofficial advisor, helping navigate which cases went to FBI versus SEC versus other agencies. Reed, what have you got? Aerospace company in Fort Worth. FAA violations, falsified test results, compliance officer about to get fired before his pension vests. Sound familiar? Very. How solid's the documentation? Solid. Over 2,000 pages. This guy knows what he's doing. Send me what you can. I'll loop in our Dallas field office. This was how it worked now. The network we'd built. Prosecutors who knew us. Agents who trusted our vetting. Attorneys who specialized in whistleblower cases. We'd created a system that worked. Friday morning, Owen and I met with Andrew Walsh via secure video call. He looked tired. Mid-50s, gray hair, worried eyes. I recognized that look. I'd seen it in the mirror 2 years ago. Andrew, I've reviewed your documentation. It's excellent work. Methodical, well-organized, properly dated. You've done everything right. He exhaled with relief. So you'll take the case? We will. But I need you to understand what's about to happen. Once you report this, your life changes. The company will come after you. They'll try to discredit you, intimidate you, make you look like a disgruntled employee. Your coworkers will avoid you. Some will think you're a traitor. The process takes years, not months. Are you prepared for that? Andrew was quiet for a moment. Mr. Holloway, 3 months ago, one of our components failed on a commercial aircraft. Emergency landing, nobody died, but it was close. The part that failed? I'd flagged it 6 months earlier. Told my boss it didn't meet specs. He overrode me, shipped it anyway. His voice hardened. So yeah, I'm prepared. Because if I don't do something, people are going to die. I nodded. I'd heard versions of that speech before, from Patricia Grant talking about defective heart valves, from a pharmaceutical whistleblower who watched his company hide drug side effects, from Owen talking about denied veteran health care. That's what separated real whistleblowers from disgruntled employees. Real whistleblowers weren't motivated by revenge or money. They were motivated by preventing harm. All right, I said. Here's what happens next. Owen's going to walk you through securing your documentation properly, making sure nothing can be deleted or lost. Then we connect you with the FBI and FAA. We get you legal protection before Meridian makes their move. The goal is to flip this from them firing you to you being a protected witness. How long does that take? If we move fast? 2 weeks. We need to file your whistleblower claim before they terminate you. Once you're officially protected, they can't touch you without facing retaliation charges. Over the next 10 days, we worked Andrew's case hard. Owen secured all his documentation, set up encrypted communications, coached him on what to say and not say to his employer. I coordinated with the FBI Dallas field office and FAA investigators. Our attorney filed formal whistleblower protection paperwork. On day 11, Meridian called Andrew in for termination. He walked into that meeting with a letter from our attorney informing them he was a protected whistleblower under federal law and any adverse employment action would constitute illegal retaliation. They backed off immediately, suspended him with pay pending investigation. Standard corporate panic response. 3 months later, the FAA showed up at Meridian with subpoenas. The company's stock dropped 18%. The CEO resigned. Andrew kept his job and his pension vested on schedule. That's case number 24 for Holloway and Holloway compliance. Last Saturday, I took Lily to the Houston Zoo. She's 8 now, 3rd grade, still wants to be a veterinarian. We spent the afternoon looking at animals, eating overpriced ice cream, enjoying being grandfather and granddaughter. On the drive home, she asked me a question. Grandpa, why do you help people at work? What do you mean, sweetheart? Owen says you help people who are in trouble. Like superheroes. I smiled. Not quite superheroes. More like, I help people tell the truth when their bosses don't want to hear it. Why don't their bosses want to hear the truth? Because sometimes the truth is expensive, or embarrassing, or shows they did something wrong. She thought about this. But lying is bad. Yes, it is. So you make them stop lying? I help people prove they're lying. Then other people make them stop. That's like a superhero. I laughed, maybe a boring one. That evening, after dropping Lily off with Owen, I drove home thinking about the past 3 years, about Claire in federal prison, about the 24 cases we'd won, about Andrew Walsh and all the others who'd found the courage to speak up, about Rachel and how she'd always said my attention to detail wasn't a quirk, it was a gift. She was right. My phone buzzed with an email. New client inquiry. Pharmaceutical company in California. Research scientist documenting falsified clinical trial data. 4 years of evidence. Termination threat. Pension vesting in 3 months. The same pattern. Always the same pattern. I pulled into my driveway, sat in the truck for a moment, then replied to the email. Send me your documentation. We'll review it and schedule a call this week. Some people might call what I do revenge. Taking down corrupt executives, costing companies millions, destroying careers. I never saw it that way. I just document the facts, report the truth, stand by my findings. Same thing I did for 32 years at Apex. The difference is that now, when I report problems, people listen. And when companies try to silence whistleblowers by stealing their pensions or threatening their families, they find out what happens when you pick the wrong Marine. They find out it costs everything. Monday morning, I'll call that pharmaceutical scientist. We'll review her evidence, connect her with the FDA, protect her from retaliation, help her tell the truth without losing everything she's earned. That's what Holloway & Holloway does. And business, as they say, is good. Because there's always another Claire Ashford out there, another corrupt executive who thinks they're untouchable, another compliance officer documenting fraud and wondering if speaking up is worth the risk. We show them it is. We show them you can win. My phone rang. Owen. Dad, Andrew Walsh just called. Meridian settled. Full back pay, pension vested, $2.3 million whistleblower reward from the FAA. He wants to take us to dinner to celebrate. That's great news. There's more. He wants to know if we're hiring. Says he wants to help other compliance officers fight back. I smiled. The network growing, more people willing to stand up, more people who understood that integrity mattered more than keeping quiet. Tell him we'll talk about it at dinner. Will do. Hey, Dad? Yeah? Mom would be proud of what you built. My throat tightened. Yeah. I think she would. After we hung up, I sat at my desk looking at the Marine Corps flag on my wall, the same one Owen sent me from Iraq, the one I'd packed in a cardboard box when Claire fired me 3 years ago. Semper Fi. Always faithful, not just to the Corps, to the truth, to doing what's right even when it costs you everything. That's the real story here. Not revenge, not getting even. Just a Marine who refused to back down when someone tried to steal what he'd earned and silence what he knew. And it turned out that was enough.